All right, good morning and welcome back. Today, we are going to kind of start with story problems. It's going to take some time. This last section will split up over the next 3 days. But to begin with, the ultimate question is what method do I use? Okay. And if we know which method to use with which scenario, then our story problems, as long as we can set them up right, won't be that difficult to solve. Now, if we look at this first one, in this case, we have three pieces of information, okay? And once again, we're just saying which way would you solve it. So SOHCAHTOA, law of sines, or law of cosines. We don't need to actually solve these ones. Okay, so we have an angle A that's 68 degrees, side B is 18, side C is 11, okay? Now, if we don't know that it's a right triangle, we cannot solve for using SOHCAHTOA, okay? In order to use law of sines, we have to have a side and an angle that match. So I'd have to have, if I have angle A, I'd also have to have side A. I don't, so I need to use law of cosines for this one. Okay, now on the second one here, this time it's a right triangle. So right away, if it's a right triangle, it's a big hint. You're probably going to use SOHCAHTOA. And we look here, there's an angle, there's a side. We're looking for that missing side. So SOHCAHTOA here. Okay, and then number 3 here. On number 3, if you look here, we are, it doesn't tell us what we're trying to find, but I had meant to put an X over here. If we're trying to find that X, we can use our knowledge here, and actually I just realized this would not be an ideal situation. To find that X, we would also need to know what this angle is. So, but say I have 47 degrees there, and then I'm trying to find that missing side. Because I have this angle and the side here, 112 degrees, 10 inches, then I also have 47 degrees here. I can use law of sines, okay, because the opposites are there. And then our final one here on this one, if we were trying to find any of these angles, if we are given 3 sides, we can find any of those angles simply by using law of cosines, okay? So, give me 1 second because my cat is making a lot of noise. All right, so as we look here now, we're going to solve a few of these today, okay? So we're only going to solve these first 3 problems. But our first one, I always recommend read the scenario, figure out what's going on, then draw your picture, okay? And then from there, let's solve it. So a ship offshore from a vertical cliff of 100 feet in height takes a sighting of the top of the cliff. If the angle of elevation is 25 degrees, how far offshore is the ship? Okay, so we know this is going to have a vertical cliff, so I can draw that. And that vertical cliff is 100 feet. Okay, and from the shore, somewhere out here is a ship. Looking up at the top of the shore here at an angle of 25 degrees. We don't know how far the ship is, so that's where we put our X. Now, if it's a vertical cliff and then it's somewhere out offshore, right, water is flat, okay, so we can put that right angle because we know they form a 90-degree angle. Now, if we look, in this case, once we have a right angle, you're probably going to use SOHCAHTOA. That is the case in our situation. Now we need to label our missing side. That is our A. The 100 foot is our O. So TOA, tangent. So if we look here, it'll be tangent of 25. Okay, tangent of 25 over 1 equals O over A. So 100 over X. Okay, at this point, we're going to just cross multiply. So it'll be X times the tangent of 25 would equal 1 times 100. Then we divide by the tangent of 25. Divide by the tangent of 25. and we'll be done. Now keep in mind, whenever we are solving problems, all the kinds of problems we're solving today, no matter which method you're using, you always want your mode to be in degrees. So if you're using the calculator app, you're probably okay. If you switched it last time you used it, if you're using this app, you need to change it every time. So go to mode, go down to degrees, hit enter, and I can hit clear. Okay, so now I just do 100 divided by that tangent of 25. Close my parenthesis, hit enter, and I will get 214.5. Our label was feet. Okay, so that's one example of a story problem. Now, if we look here, the second one here. 3 people, Adam, Bobby, and Chad, are throwing a football around the backyard. Okay. Now, Adam throws the ball to Bobby. Bobby catches the ball. He turns 60 degrees and throws the ball 6 yards to Chad. Chad catches the ball, turns 70 degrees, and throws the ball to Adam. How far did Chad throw the 3 people are throwing it around in the yard. It's not mandatory. They could be in a line, but unless you're playing the monkey in the middle, you're probably, if you're throwing it around, are in some sort of triangle. Okay, now, we don't know the distances. We don't quite know how it's set up, but this triangle, let me redraw that actually. The triangle will be good enough for us, okay? It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be drawn to scale. Now, if there are 3 people, we have Adam, Bobby, and Chad. Okay, our 3 people. Now let's go through in order. It says Adam throws the ball to Bobby. So it comes from here to here. When Bobby catches the ball, he turns 60 degrees. So right here, this angle will be 60 degrees. And then he throws the ball 6 yards to Chad. Chad catches the ball and turns 70 degrees. So that goes in here. And how far did he throw it back to Adam then? So that's our X. Now, in order to solve this, the first thing we should do, let's figure out what that missing angle is. That's going to be easy. Anytime we have 2 angles in a triangle, 60 plus 70 is 130. We know the total is 180. So 180 minus that 130 will leave us with 50 degrees. Okay, so 50 degrees for angle A. Now, hopefully you see we have angle A and side A. Those match up. We can use law of sines. So sine of 50 divided by 6, and that will equal the sine of 60 divided by x. Okay, so now we can cross multiply. We get x times the sine of 50 will equal 6 times the sine of 60 divided by the sine of 50 divided by the sine of 50. Okay, now all we got to do is type this into our calculator. So once again, as long as you have an x down of it, you should still be in degree. You can see up here I'm in degree. If you need to, though, go to mode, come down and change it to degree. Okay, so on top, I'm going to put a parenthesis, and then it's 6 times, in our case, the sine of 60. Close that parenthesis, close the top, oops, and then divided by, and on the bottom, it will be sine of 50. Okay, we hit enter, and as you can see, 6.78. So if we round up, we'll get 6.8 yards. Now, if you ever want to check yourself, let's think, does that make sense? So 6 yards was across from the smallest angle. 50 is the smallest of the 3 angles. So we know that this will be the smallest side. So 6.8 yards, that is a little bit bigger, which hopefully makes sense. 50 to 60, 6 to 6.8, it's about the same proportionally. So it's believable, okay? And in fact, it is the same proportionally, if we would figure that out. So the final one we're going to do today, once again, Adam, Bobby, and Chad, the same 3 people, are lying in the ground, forming a triangle with their bodies. Okay, so we know we're going to have a triangle. Now, Adam's 72 inches tall, so let's put that on one side. It says Bobby's 60 inches tall. Chris is only 44 inches tall. Okay, so now, what are the angles made in between their bodies? So, first off, if Adam's 72 inches, that's over here, so I'm going to put angle A over across from him, opposite of him. Bobby's 60, so angle B will be opposite of that, and Chadder's 44, so angle C is opposite of that. Okay, now, we need to find these angles. We don't have any of the angles, but we do have all three sides, but our only option is the law of cosine, and we can use the method where we find the missing angle using the three sides, okay? So we're going to start with angle A. Now to do this, it's going to be the cosine of A equals, it's the other two sides, so not side A, so 44 squared plus 60 squared. Technically I have that opposite, I guess, of the formula, so let me switch that around. Not that it matters at all, but just in case someone's going to be confused why I did that. So 60 squared plus 44 squared minus, and all this will be in parentheses, minus whatever that side is, so in our case 72 squared, divided by, then it's 2 times B times C. Okay, so I go to type that in the calculator. Once again, you got to be in degree mode. Now I'm going to take the inverse cosine to get rid of that and just be left with A. So second cosine. Now on top, I'm going to put parentheses. I'm going to do 60 squared plus 44 squared minus 72 squared. Close your parenthesis. Divided by all that on the bottom. So 2 times 60 times 44. Close it. I need to close the whole thing. I hit enter, and I get 86.2 if I round. Okay, so A equals 86.2 degrees. Now I'll do the same thing again with cosine B. I still don't have enough information to really change the problem. It's the exact same thing, except now instead of 60 and 44 at the front, it will become 72 and 44 at the front, and we'll subtract the 60. Now on the bottom, it's going to be 2 times 72 times 44. Okay, so here's something that I think is really handy when you're doing a problem like this. Remember, if you hit second enter on this version of the calculator, it pops the exact same information back up. Now I can arrow over. Instead of a 60 on the bottom, I need a 72. Over here, instead of the 72 squared, I need that to be 60. And then I can arrow over, instead of 60 squared at the front, I want 72. I can hit enter, and I get the information or the answer pretty quickly. Now, if you can't figure out how to do that using your method or your calculator, it's fine if you type it again. That just saves me a little bit of time, in my opinion. So I get B to be 56.3 degrees. Now, at this point, we can add these two together and subtract from 180 to get our third angle. So 86.2 plus 56.3. If we do that, we'll get a 5. We'll get a 2. We'll get 142.5. We'll take 180 minus that, and we'll be left with 37.5 degrees for our value of C. Now, I believe if you do this and you would solve using cosine C and use the same method with C, I can't remember. I think it comes out to 37.6, okay, which some of you might be confused because then our three angles would add to 180.1. That is because we are doing some rounding, okay? As the rounding occurs, this causes our answers to not be precise, which causes sometimes to appear as if we have not done it correctly. Okay, so that is all for today. Now, today there is an It's Learning, the It's Learning problems for the word problems, they are live. You can begin if you want. If you don't want to start, no, actually, I recommend you at least start. Okay, try to figure out one of the problems. Try to do one of them. They won't be due yet because we haven't seen all of these examples. but at least try to begin it. So if you have any questions, please reach out. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.